In this video, we're going to complete two examples of using proportions to solve scale drawing problems. A scale drawing shows an object exactly as it looks, but it is smaller or larger than the actual object. A perfect example of a scale drawing could be a map of the state of New Jersey, or a blueprint of a house or a building that's made before the building is actually constructed itself. So here's our first example. Suppose a drawing of a dinosaur had a scale of 1 inch equals 18 feet. If the height of the dinosaur at the hips is 1/2 inch, what is the actual height at the hips? And as we spoke about in class, when you read through a scale drawing problem, the first thing you want to find is your scale. And we learn right here that the scale is 1 inch equals 18 feet. And this is really important because it's going to help us to set up our proportion. So the first thing I do with my proportion is my labels. And since the units of measure are inches and feet, I'm going to set those up as my label. Keep in mind you could set them up in either order, with inches in the top, feet in the bottom, or reversed, as long as you follow your label all the way through the problem. And since the scale is 1 inch equals 18 feet, my first ratio will be 1/18. The problem is then going to give me one more piece of information that I can plug into my proportion. So if I continue reading, I learn that the height of the dinosaurs at the hips is 1/2 of an inch. And so if I follow my label, I see inches is in the numerator, so I will put 1/2 in the numerator here. And the missing piece of information is represented by the variable x. Once that's completed, I now just solve my proportion by cross multiplication, starting with my variable. 1 times x is x, or 1x if you prefer. And then I cross multiply the other way. 18 times 1/2 is 9. If I look back at my proportion, I know that the label of my answer should be feet. So this tells me that the height of the dinosaur to its hip is 9 feet tall. Let's check out another example. This one is dealing with a blueprint of a building, and it tells us that an architect's drawing has a height of 15 3/4 inches. If the scale on the drawing is 1/2 inch equals 1 foot, how tall is the building? And again, I'm going to start off by finding my scale, which tells me that 1/2 of an inch in the drawing is 1 foot of the actual building. So knowing that, I will set up my proportion, inches over feet, as those are the two units of measure. And then the first ratio is the scale itself. So 1/2 of an inch represents 1 foot. 1/2 over 1. Looking back through the problem, I can pull out another piece of information, which is that the height is 15 3/4 inches. And that measurement is inches, so I put it across from the label for inches, 15 3/4. The question is asking us how many feet tall is the real building, and since that's the missing information, that becomes x in my proportion. At this point, we're going to cross multiply to solve our proportion. If I cross multiply this way, 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. When I cross multiply the other way, 1 times 15 3/4, the product is 15 3/4. And what we have here is a one-step algebraic equation. So in order to solve for x, or isolate x, I need to get rid of the 1/2. Since it's currently being multiplied by x, I'm going to divide it. So I'll divide by 1/2 here. This cancels and leaves me with x. And since it is an equation, whatever I do on the left, I have to also do on the right, so I'm going to divide this other side by 1/2 as well. And when I complete my division, I end up finding out that the building has an actual measurement of 31.5 feet. And just make sure that you always label your answer with the correct unit of measure. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, let me know.